And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Within minutes of Flight 11 crashing into the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the Red Cross mobilized to provide immediate help. The Canadian Red Cross sent many volunteers to help at Ground Zero in New York, and many more Red Crossers here in Canada were doing their part. On today's Open Connection, we open our archives to bring you this story from 2001.
With one phone call, Terrace's fire chief Randy Smith's future changed. The tragedy of September 11th touched us all in some way, many of us looking for ways to help out. For Randy Smith, he would get that opportunity directly at Ground Zero. On the morning of October 6th, Smith was on his way with the Canadian Red Cross to New York to help, but not knowing really what he would be doing.
I left here with an open mind. I guess I had the pictures that everybody else did in my mind from TV. I arrived down there, and in the first morning walking in, it was kind of a drizzly morning, and I was quite taken back with just the magnitude of what had occurred at the site, and not only the sheer magnitude of it, but the sounds and the smell of the site.
Smith provided assistance to workers down on the excavation site as a floor supervisor at a relief center. Workers such as firefighters and police officers would come and escape from the tragedy for a few hours.
Anything from just a place to go and sit down and do an email up to your family, because we had people from across the country that were brought in to a place to get something to eat, something to drink. We had dorm facilities set up. We were at St. John's University down there, and so we had classrooms set up as dorms. So for those workers that, as you may have heard, some of the firefighters and the police officers would work their normal shift on the street and then come down and work an extra shift, and so they needed to get 4 hours sleep.
Smith says one thing that amazed him while in New York was the outpouring of support and emotion for the helpers at Ground Zero.
The cards and letters that people had sent in, primarily from the schools from across America, and we received those in box by the box load, and we would set them out on the tables for the firefighters and the police officers to read. And when they send those out, I don't know whether they thought that anybody would ever read them or not, but just the sheer impact of those letters, it was incredible. We had to set up a mail facility there because the firefighters would sit down and write back to the kids.
As Smith lended a helping hand in New York, the Terrace firefighters rallied behind the cause and wanted to contribute their part by focusing their annual boot drive on the tragedy in New York instead of muscular dystrophy.
We looked at it this year, and under the circumstances with the New York situation, we felt that it would be a cause to give and to change sort of the direction of the boot drive. By all means, we are not, saying we're not raising money for MD anymore. As it turns out, for this weekend on the boot drive, the Thornhill firefighters are going to be raising money for the MD.
3 other Terrace firefighters are going to New York, but under different circumstances, to attend a memorial service for the firefighters who died helping at Ground Zero. Their union is covering the costs for them to attend the service at Madison Square Gardens. Over 50,000 firefighters from across the world are predicted to attend.
It doesn't matter how big the people are, everybody has been crying on this, and it's going to be very emotional. It's going to be very, very difficult to keep all of our composure, I think. So mentally, we have thought about it.
Smith says he will never forget his month in New York and knows it has impacted his future.
Although this was a terrible situation and we would never want to see it happen again, the opportunity that was provided to me to go down and practice management skills, I'll take with me for the rest of my life. And hopefully Dave and the rest of the guys here will be able to benefit from that, and we'll have a better fire department here through my participation and through theirs, because they're going to have their eyes opened when they go down as well.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. In German Shepherd is a medium to large breed dog known for their intelligence, loyalty, and protective instincts. They are quite used for working dogs in a variety of roles, including police dogs, search and rescue dogs, and service dogs. Let us return to the archives to meet Wally.
Constable Mike L'Italian spends time with 3-year-old German Shepherd Wally every day. In fact, they're almost inseparable. Wally looks cute and cuddly and extremely playful, just like any pet. But Wally is no ordinary dog. He's one of Terrace's trained police dogs. And he's definitely not a pet.
He came from Czechoslovakia in the summer of 1999, and we went to training in Innisfail, Alberta, from August until January 2000, so August 99 till January 2000, and we came to Terrace at the end of February 2000.
L'Italian began his career in New Brunswick in 1990, and after spending more than 9 years in general policing and trying out several other sections of the RCMP, he finally decided to try his hand at the police dog training program. And he's never looked back.
When I went to training, I had an idea that I would like to be a dog handler, and 5 years later, I decided that that's really what I wanted to do. So after I tried out, every other section and had a look and see what it was like, and I joined the puppy rearing program, and I worked under a dog handler, regional dog handler, where I was stationed at, and I raised puppies, German Shepherds, for the RCMP puppy rearing programs. And in 1999, I guess I was selected to go on the dog handler training.
At 3 years of age, Wally is a seasoned veteran. He's been bred and trained to search out hidden drugs and to track down criminals or missing persons.
Our bread and butter basically is tracking and searching. And when I say tracking and searching, it's for human scent. We also do searching for narcotics.
From the time he was a puppy, Wally has been trained by the RCMP and has gone through at least 6 different tests. If any would-be police dog fails even one of the tests, they're rejected and sold to another police agency or search and rescue squad, depending on what the failure was. But Wally passed, and he and L'Italian have bonded and are always training together. It's a 365-day-a-year job, and both are there to protect one another.
If you call your dog back, he's gonna come back, because that means life and death for him. If he's good, if you send him on after somebody or a situation and you change your mind, it becomes, something changes really quick. You have to be able to call your dog back, and your dog has to listen to you and come back.
One of the many exercises Wally takes part in on a regular basis are drug searches. In this training exercise, samples of marijuana are placed in several different areas of a room. The object of the exercise is for Wally to find the samples of drugs wherever they might be hidden. But first, L'Italian takes a moment for Wally to get familiarized with the area.
The dog's a creature of habit, so he knows we're coming here. We've been here before to do, searching and stuff. And I told him when I brought him out of the truck that, I'm talking to him and want to go search spot, and then they know. So now, basically, there's so many smells, we want him to sit. He's to sit or stand still for a little bit and get accustomed, get all the smells and, going through it. His nose. It was a different place, a different environment. And then when I go in, he's accustomed to the other smells. Now he's going to be looking for those specific narcotic.
And after a few moments, Wally finds exactly what he's looking for.
Oh my God! Hi! Hey, good man! Hey! Ah, that guy! What a good searcher!
The dog he had his fun. He came out of the truck. He had fun. He was working. Work is fun for that. Now he's done. I'm done searching. So he goes back in the truck, and until we do something else, he's got to stay in the truck and just gonna drive around with me, and that's what we do. So he just doesn't he doesn't get to come into mornings with us. That's the only thing. Besides that, he does pretty much everything else.
Officers interested in dog handling are not automatically accepted into the program. The interested officer must first invest a lot of voluntary unpaid overtime, and they must be patient and demonstrate their dedication. Constable Colin Warwick is a Terrace officer that's interested in the program. But first, he has to go through the puppy training program for several years before he's assigned a dog. That's how he started off with Lexa.
My desire is to get there as well. This is kind of the first step. Here, Lexa. Okay? What do you got? What do you got? Oh yeah, you're gonna be a camera person, aren't you? Be a camera dog? Out. You're gonna make a mess of everything for us. That girl. So yeah, this is kind of a step for me in the road to the section as well. So we'll be partnering up and learning together.
Lexa was born at the RCMP Training Center in Innisfil, Alberta. At 6 weeks, she was tested for basic things like retrieval, how she deals with stress, noise sensitivity, and forgiveness. And so far, she's doing quite well.
Yeah. 4 months she'll be tested again, a little bit more serious testing then. And it's an ongoing process. It'll carry on through 8 months, 12 months, and then when she goes for training, there'll be quite a rigorous testing that she'll go through.
And while Constable Warwick continues with his training, Mike L'Italian continues on with Wally. In fact, he says he often spends more time with his dog than with his family. But he knows that's all part of the job, and so does his family.
And my buddy, who's more than a partner, I guess he's a partner. Your partner goes home at night and to his family, and this guy comes with me. And so basically it's my life.
As L'Italian takes Wally for his daily walk, he's confident that his dog will be there when he needs him. And he'll always be there for his friend and his partner.
You don't do it because you want to be a dog handler. You do it because this is what you want to do. You enjoy, you like dogs. It's got to be a genuine feeling about animals. Sure.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. According to the Work BC website, statistics show that 80% of job vacancies are not advertised. In some regions, that percentage is higher. Networking is a vital way to identify work opportunities and connect with potential employees in the hidden job market. Let us return to the archives with Yvonne Stowell.
It doesn't sound too promising if you already have a job, but even more so if you soon hope to enter today's workforce.
When people hear those kinds of things over and over and over again, they get depressed and quite down at the prospect of looking for work or feeling that there are good future opportunities for them. Everyone has the ability to make a good work situation for themselves, but it takes time, and sometimes it takes assistance in working with people to ensure that they recognize what their strengths are, what their abilities are, and what the possibilities are for them in the future, and whether that's retraining or upgrading, but it is possible.
If you have questions, you are advised to ask someone who knows the answers. Employment centers are there exactly for this purpose.
We work through a whole process of the kinds of skills that are required to work in certain types of industry. We also take inventory of their skills and experience to see how that's going to match and what they're missing and what they're going to have to do to fill that gap. And there's a lot of work that's done around that to make sure that industries are really what they want to do as well. Often there's a perception, either through family or peer, that industry is the way to go. But it's not for everyone, and so there really needs to be some research done by the individual and with assistance to ensure that that is the direction they want to go.
Education. Gone are the days when a student who leaves high school can secure a job with local industry. And more so now than ever, adults who already work in local industries are having to return to school to meet the educational demands of their employers.
I would advise them to seriously consider the matter right now while they're in high school and get some idea of what they want to do in the future. We get a lot of adults who just went into the workforce after high school, and some even dropped out of high school to go into the workforce. And now, quite a few years later, they're realizing they need more training, and it's a little bit harder to come back and take training when you're a bit older, but it's quite possible.
I see that type of change taking place, furthering education and looking for, not necessarily always for a degree, but to upgrade one's educational skills. So there's the difference, I think, that it's necessary to improve the quality of one's education, to seek further education, to become better trained.
More and more, there are very specific skills required within industry. Industry is meeting the global needs of technological change and global changes, and they need to ensure that their workforce is going to be skilled and able to meet those changes.
Employment opportunities outside of the province do exist and may be a practical option for some, but employment counselors offer a word of caution.
Yes, there are a lot of opportunities in Alberta. There's no question about that. Anybody who takes a look at job postings, looks at job banks, who looks at newspapers, there's lots of opportunities in Alberta. There are specifically opportunities for people who have special skills. Anyone who is going to Alberta without special skills, with looking for a job at minimum wage in Alberta, they're going to have a very, very difficult time. Accommodation is almost impossible to get. We've had clients who took the risk of going to Alberta to take jobs at $20, $25 an hour, which was very attractive to them. They were up in the north, Fort McMurray. They were living in their car, had been for 6 months. They were on a 6-month waiting list for an apartment that was going to cost them $1,100 a month. And November was coming. They're back in Kitimat because you can't live in Fort McMurray in November.
Overall, the general feeling is there are steps you can take to increase your chances of securing employment in a not-so-secure economic situation.
A high school education is just the very basics right now, and even that isn't enough for a lot of jobs. And you need your grade 12 to begin with, and you need further training on top of that. And nowadays people have to be prepared to take training all through their life. And it's just a lifelong learning experience.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
In 45 minutes, friends Chris Hadley and Scott Abbott mapped out an idea for a new board game in 1979. Within a decade, Trivial Pursuit was sold to Parker Brothers for $80 million. In this final segment of Open Connection, we return to the archives with Suburbia.
A family in Smithers plays a board game. Not just any game, but one they designed, produced, and are now selling themselves. It even says Smithers, BC, right on the box.
Basically, our family, we've kind of been wanting to do something as a family, a business type idea.
So last Remembrance Day, they came together to brainstorm and get started.
Then we came back at Christmas and we actually played the game with some of our friends and family as a prototype to give us some feedback on the game and the ideas of it.
A year later, it sits beside some of the best-known board games. It's in 9 provinces, 2 territories, and every community in the Northwest. Northern Drugs in Smithers was already ready to order more copies when Skeena Journal visited. The game says, discover your team's hidden talents in Suburbia. And the family made a lot of discoveries through the process about business and their individual strengths.
Finding out the talents we all have that we never realized that we had or that the others had. That's been pretty cool.
It's a lot of work, and I think it's a real good idea. I'm very pleased with it, proud of my family that come up with this, actually. Yeah.
Jack's son-in-law Derek was impressed by how games bring this family together.
Christmas Eve, when Jill and I were first dating, and instantly I was thrust into a board game. So I knew that was a big part of their lives. I had no idea that we would be creating our own.
Family members have turned their homes into Suburbia headquarters. The Stroats have 2 rooms in their basement literally filled to the roof with game boxes. Suburbia is played by moving around a game board divided into sections of a neighborhood. What challenge you'll face depends on where you land.
Oh, a teacher, professor, students, lecture hall.
It might be drawing with your wrong hand, unscrabbling letters to make a word, or the popular noise violation. Guess what sound Derek is making here?
That's some kind of motor. That's some kind of motor. Yeah.
But before we reveal the answer, we go to Evergreen Industrial Supplies in Smithers, where you can find the tube tote. As a logger and equipment operator, Wes Westgarn of Houston uses a lot of industrial grease. Grease that comes in messy, squashable cardboard tubes.
Basically, it's a problem, and so it was something to solve the problem. It was an idea to solve the problem. I wasn't always so much worried that I was losing a few dollars worth of grease, but it was such a mess that it creates, and it's hard to clean up. So we designed a container to look after the needs of that.
The idea is simple. Tube tote keeps grease and also caulking tubes organized and leak-free. Wes and his wife Stacy can now hold their vision in their hands and see it in stores like UAP Napa and Auto Parts Plus. Whether it's the predecessor of the tube tote, this plywood form, or the first version of Suburbia that took too long to play, trial and error is part of the invention's lifespan, as is persistence.
I had the idea for quite some time, but when I finally made up my mind that I was wanting to make this container, of course I told her about it, and I never quit telling her about it. I pretty much drove her nuts with the idea. I wouldn't leave it alone. So
Suburbia and tube tote are not alone among Northwest inventions. Neil Foreman of Prince Rupert manufactures tree guards and has this advice for up-and-coming inventors.
It's going to take a while. You don't just go out and buy a tree protector that we have ready for the market now and do it overnight. It's a long process. I've been at 2.5 years now.
There is help for the invention-minded out there from resource centers like Nadina Community Futures.
And specifically for an inventor, okay, they're going to have to look at a patent or an industrial design and the legalities behind that. Okay, so we can guide you to the government services that provide for that.
Online, check Community Futures website at cftcnadina.ca or the Canada-BC Business Service Centre at sb.gov.bc.ca. Although it's not for everyone, entrepreneurial spirit says the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward.
The biggest thing I think is, stick with it. If you got an idea, don't give up on it. Keep trying anyhow. It's if you believe in it, follow through on it.
But it is amazingly satisfying, and there's nothing as satisfying as having an idea and making it work.
By the way, in case you didn't get it, this is a lawnmower.
Now, how does this look for a gorgeous spring day? Well, it was a bit much for me, but for many others, it was not. This was the highlight of the day's events, which included skiing events of all kinds, a little snow volleyball, face painting, and of course, the slush cup, which took quite a bit of preparation this year.
And this year we made about 40 feet long, 20 feet wide. We're going to give the people the option of taking the jump or just going straight through, whatever they prefer. It took 3-4 hours to get it shaped, and with the use of the hoe and the grooming machine, and we're just fine-tuning it now and putting about 6,000 gallons of water in there and probably mix it up with a bit of slush, a bit of snow.
And for one participant, it's become an annual event.
You see, we got a crew for people that come up here from Prince Rupert every year. Snow Day's been like 3 or 4 or 5 years, and we've always been skiing in too much ice, so we said we're going to relax and get a couple of people up and come down and ski hard, eh?
And as you can see, it was a real crowd pleaser.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.